Cool. You have any mortgage updates for us today?
Yeah. So are we recording that?
Yeah, we can go ahead and start kind of rolling in.
Okay. Is our guest here?
Our guest is here. Jody is
all right.
here.
So, awesome. Good morning, everybody. So for mortgages right now, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's the talk of the town is what's going on with mortgage rates. And while I believe mortgage rates are going to affect individuals, bigger problem in our industry right now is inventory. You know, if interest rates were 5% right now, we would probably still see a crazy open house like we did at Travis's house yesterday when we in the Facebook group that we were joking about. You know, people have the money to pay, and I think people in our industry, as running as a mortgage professional, is absolutely going to be on the message is going to be, yeah, rates aren't great again, right now, but you can still afford to acquire a property. And if you own this property for the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to definitely, earn substantial equity. And there's a good chance within that time frame, or in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see a shift where there's opportunities to refi. So rates are floating, threes, mid threes is what we're seeing nationally. I was pricing loans last week in the low threes, in the twos for a couple of VA clients. So the twos aren't absolutely gone yet. And, the way that we look at running a mortgage, sometimes it pays to, there's a huge group of lenders that promote a zero origination fee. And most of those guys come from the direct lending side. We're a broker. You guys have access to brokered lenders, which means we have 10 to 20 different companies that we can push a loan to, looking for the best opportunity for your buyer. And sometimes we can get a buyer client or a refinance client a much better rate and potential credit if we do charge a small origination fee. Now doing that generally comes out of, it's a shift of the way that we use our commission. So essentially we're crediting back company dollar to help these clients, but it allows us a much broader opportunity to still win the deal, get your client an amazing loan, as well as we make a good amount of money. So, consider reaching out to any one of the guys that works with our lending division and talk to them about how they can help you. If you want to talk to me directly, you can reach me through Facebook, or I don't know where my contact information. I'm easy to find, probably.
Yeah.
Father, text Travis. He'll forward it. But
Yeah.
rates aren't horrible. They're just not the best that they've ever been. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Seemed a little quiet last week on the rates. I was kind of tracking one for a loan, and
Thursday and Friday, nothing
Yeah,
happened. It was
quiet, which was nice.
on the mortgage side. Yeah. But it's like when there was nothing great to talk about on Wednesday, and so nothing got better. But again, by Friday, nothing got worse. So going into the weekend, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Even this morning, it looks pretty quiet so far, even though the stock market's kind of tanking.
Yeah, but I would, I think the real message that we can share as a team to clients interested in buying is yeah, you might end up, in San Diego and California, you might end up paying $150 more at a 0.5% more, rate. And again, I don't know what your actual loan amount would be, but $150, $200 more over the next 2 years. So take that let's say it's $200 higher now because of today's rate, times 24. That's $5,000 extra dollars. Any property that buyer can acquire and take ownership of, if The only thing that could happen to not earn that $5,000 in equity would be if the world exploded, and then it wouldn't matter. But I mean,
Yeah.
to pay extra $5,000 to potentially increase equity on a property you now acquire and control is probably 20 to 1. You're probably going to see it in the next 3 years, $50 to $100,000 increase in equity. So while no one wants to pay more, the benefit is there if they can acquire the property, which is why there's lines of people still standing outside of open house as soon as it pops up on the market.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. Well, thanks for that update. Reach out to Andrew if you guys have any, loan scenarios or questions. But with that, I wanted to do a webinar, kind of a Q&A style with my friend Jody, and Jody's on. So I've been, I don't know, friends with Jody for how long, Jody? Maybe 10 years, maybe a little longer?
Yeah, actually it's been almost 10, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So we've been in business for a while together and kind of watching each other grow, I guess, if you want to call it that. So I picked Jody because, one, she's my friend, and two, because Jody had a breakout year a few years ago, and she's always been successful, but I would have probably grouped her in the part-time realm a few years back when we kind of first met. And she made some changes a few years ago, and her business has really just exploded, and it's been awesome to watch. Jody's not that pie in the sky top producer agent that we go and listen to at a panel and everybody is like, wow, I'll never become that. Jody is making a very, very good living right now. She's supporting, all of her family needs, and I think she's having fun. I mean, every time I talk to her, she seems to be in a great mood. So I thought that she'd be a great person to interview because what she has done, I believe anybody that wants to be full-time and make a good career in this business can achieve. So I know that she's still growing in business, and maybe in another year or two, she will be that pie in the sky agent that's on every billboard and bus stop and everything. We'll see. I don't know, maybe she's heading that way, but right now I think that she's a very good, role model for someone who made that transition, is making great steady income, and is doing a lot of the right things. So with that, I think we do have a little presentation, or maybe you want to kick off.
Yeah, I do. Okay. And First of all, I just want to say thanks, Travis. Like that, that's some very kind words. And I'll have to tell you that when Travis first asked me to do this, and he was like, hey, how do you transition from being a part-time to full-time? I go, you realize I've been full-time this whole time that I've known you and worked with you. But I'm going to show you a couple things that I'm going to be like, okay, I get why Travis was thinking I was part-time, but this all kind of lends to my point that I'm going to be wrapping up with. So you know what, can you let me share? Oh, here we go. Let me share my screen. Okay, so we're going to just talk about a couple, and I am not the kind to ramble on. I want to get you guys to the meat and potatoes of everything. I welcome questions. So if you have additional questions, Travis will monitor the chat and we can ask them. I know that there was a ton of questions that were asked, all really good. I'm going to probably touch on some as I just go through this, but if you have any additional or follow-up questions, Travis can interrupt me and ask me away. Okay. So we're just going to kind of talk about basics, honestly, because I think everybody thinks, well, what's that really big thing that's going to get me to that next level? And it really isn't rocket science. I promise you that. So just to kind of give you a little bit about me. So I've been licensed since 2004. So I've been through the big crash. I actually jumped out of the real estate market during that time because I had initially joined, or I've always been interested in real estate ever since like in the early 90s. When I first got married, I was very interested in doing real estate. I just always thought that it was too hard to get into. There were too many things like, and I should have just pursued it a little bit more. So I kind of kicked myself that way, but it's all good. Everything happens for a reason. And sorry about my voice. I'm on the very tail end of COVID. So I'm not like 100%, but I mean, I feel great.
We all are.
Yeah, I know. I feel great. My voice sounds, ugh. So anyway, okay. So, but I started getting into real estate because at the time in my life, I was going through divorce. I was walking out. I was an instructional aide, which is on there. I was an instructional aide for my kids' school district because I wanted to be on the same schedule with them because that was really important to me to spend time with my kids. Well, as I walked out one day, I started doing the math and I was like, I cannot support myself, let alone my kids, because I just didn't want to have to rely on my ex's any type of support. Excuse me, sorry. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get into real estate finally because I get to make decisions that I want to make now. So I took the test, stressed over it. I swear I got 2 hours of sleep that night. But I passed them the first time, which also was kind of funny because I went to the crash course. Everybody I sat next to had just failed the test. I sat down to take the test. Everybody had failed the test. I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm going to fail. So, but I passed the first time, no problem. So that started me into the whole real estate world. It took me a little bit longer because I think the requirements have changed now, but back then you could get licensed with a conditional license and then you could have that for like 18 months while you took an additional 2 classes and then you could get your full license. I didn't want to do that in term 1. So I went and took the additional 2 classes and then I got licensed up. So it took me a couple more months to get those done. Once I completed all of that, I started real estate. That was November of 2004. I quit my job with the school district in March of 2005. So it took me a few months to transition out of my my full-time job, so to speak, but it was like part-time because it was like 6 hours a day or whatever. So, but once I did that transition, I never gone back. So, but I did have a bunch of closings. That was the whole reason I waited until I had enough to support myself and my family for quite a few months. And I'll have to say that things were a little bit cheaper now. The cost of doing business now, I think, is a little bit higher. So I would almost recommend probably as much as you can stock away, and then you'll just have to be really, really conservative. And I'll tell you right now, my even though I've been licensed since 2004, it's kind of been an ebb and flow. Like when the market's been bad, I kind of bounced out when the market started getting a little crazy and it was foreclosures. I jumped back in 2012 with Travis. He was actually working for a different company. And then when he started Rise Realty, I transferred over with him. So we've been working together for a really long time. But then my goals kind of, well, it kind of, I wasn't trying to leave Travis, but it just ended up that way. So just for the goals that I had. So here we are, just a little bit about me. Okay, let's get into this. So this is showing you, this is why I laugh when Travis says, you know, you're kind of a part-time agent. I was like, what? But this is my sales volume since, and this is like, so I never took my job as seriously as I did since 2014. So 2014, I was talking to another agent and he started asking me questions about my business. How much volume do you do? You know, like really detailed questions. And I was like, I never ever thought to track any of this. So I started tracking it was probably 2015 actually, because I think I went back the previous year. So I started tracking my numbers from that point on. I was like, oh, I guess I need to do this. So And if you track your numbers, it's going to help you identify the areas that you need to focus on more in order to get to that next level. So I don't track all my numbers, and I am going to be preaching to myself in a lot of this. So I don't want you to think that I've got it all together. I don't. I will tell you right up front, there's a 100% room for improvement, even with myself. But I'll just share some things that have gotten me to this next level. And if I do all of those other things that I'm telling you guys to do today, it's going to get me even further. So, okay. So here's what I would suggest. Those of you who are really wanting to pursue real estate as a full-time, these are my 2 things you must do. You really need to plan. If you do not plan, you are not going to be using your time as effectively, especially if you have another job to plan around, family responsibilities or obligations, those kinds of things. If you do not make time for your work, it's going to be really hard to transition out. So, and we're going to talk about what kind of plan. I don't think I have a slide, but I'll talk about what kinds of things we should be making sure are on our plan every day. So the other thing is to be consistent. These are a bunch of quotes that I found. So if you are persistent, you will get it. But if you are consistent, you will keep it. And consistency is what transforms average into excellence. And small daily improvements are the key to staggering long-term results. So a lot of times we think, well, if I miss one day of doing my calling on whoever, it won't make that much of a difference, but it does. That's one less day that you can find a prospect to help, or, get a lead or a referral or something. So if you dismiss your, and give yourself an out for, your plan and your, it just really depends on how dedicated you are to what you're trying to achieve, is really at the end of the day, which hard work plus dedication plus consistency equals success. So these are 2 things that really, the planning can be taught. The consistency is up to you, 100%. You're in the driver's seat. You get to make decisions on your business. So just remember that. Okay, so morning routines. These are my suggestions for things that will help to put you in the right mind frame for the day. Either a spiritual or self-improvement type activity that you work with. I don't know what that looks like. You'll have to figure that out for yourself. A physical exercise, some sort of actual exercising or meditation or whatever you want to do, but something that addresses your physical needs. Listening or reading a book, or listening to a podcast that's either work related or a personal, working on our personal improvement.
Self-improvement.
Yeah. Or, and obviously we need to get ready for the day. I know that when we work from home, or, because we are kind of our independent contractors, we get to pick what we want to do. But if you don't get ready for the day, I can tell you that there's a big difference in how I approach my work on the days that I don't prepare myself prior to. Like, I've had phone calls come in and they said, hey, can you meet right now? And I'm like, I can meet you in like 3 hours because I got to go get ready. Like, I didn't shower for the day or whatever. I didn't get ready. So
expect to be busy, basically, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm
dress
saying
as if you have something going on today.
What's that?
Get ready like you have something going on that day, even if you don't.
Like you have appointments all day long,
Yeah.
And even if you don't, you can, and really that's what your goal should be, is trying to get appointments, because the appointments lead to contracts, which lead to your income.
Money.
So, right. So non-negotiables are daily gratitude. I actually have like this little gratitude journal here. It's empty still, but I'm going to use it. But that's why I say a lot of these things, I have like all of the tools and I just need to pull the trigger. Sorry, hang on, I got a cough. A lot of talking, and I'm gonna grab a drink too.
Yeah, it happens.
I know, it's like, it's better now. Okay, so and then daily planning. So at the end of the day, you should be looking at what were your successes? What did you accomplish that day? Because you want to feel some sort of like, hey, I did it, you know, like I accomplished this, and now I have to go and, you know, tomorrow I'm going to be doing these items. And as you do those little successes, you know, your little goals, I mean, they could be super small, but hey, did you accomplish it? Can you check it off your list? And if you can say yes, then that creates that momentum to get us to the next thing that we need to accomplish and to complete. So, and phone calls, okay, I hate making phone calls, to be honest. I would much rather go door knocking, but whatever your point of contact is with people, with potential buyers and sellers, is what you should be doing. So you can scratch phone calls if you don't like phone calls. I mean, I know that a lot of people do phone calls. I am not a phone caller. I mean, I can do phones, but I don't prefer it. I want to have a personal interaction with someone. So I love door knocking. And because of COVID, I haven't really been doing it, but I was doing a bunch of door knocking prior to, and I actually listed a house I door knocked, and I helped them purchase another home. So I got 2 deals off 1 door knock. So whatever your, however you can get in front of people is what you want to do. I know that video is huge also. So if you're disseminating a lot of information, I haven't been doing video because the COVID, like seriously, I got it right after, well, it's been a couple weeks, but I hadn't planned any of my year, and I'm like way behind. This is not me. And I'll tell you why. I had, and Travis knows because I whined to him, but I had 2 transactions that were absolutely going sideways, and like they were pretty disheartening. So that's another thing too, that I mean, they both closed, but it was an absolute nightmare to get both of them to that point. And it kind of like just sucked all the energy out of me. Now I do need to have a backup plan for when those times happen, because it's not going to be the last time. So I have to, like, I know that exercising would have totally helped, but just because my year's been wonky already, I haven't sat down. I haven't made my goals yet, which I need to do. And you guys are going to make me like hold myself accountable now. And I haven't planned out my morning routine like I want. I had a lot of things changing recently. So, and then COVID hit. So now I've got to do all of this planning still, which I'll probably take the rest of today because I'm going to a conference the rest of this week. All right, I'm going to take a breath of air here. Anybody have any questions or anything? I should go look at those other questions that you guys submitted to and see. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. I don't see any yet, but.
No, none coming in yet, just the list that I had sent over. So yeah, I guess go ahead and keep going, and then maybe we'll roll into a few questions as we go.
All right.
A few as well.
Okay. So here's some tips on how to get more in business that will help you transition if you're trying to improve your income, whatever. Right now, like in my area, there's still plenty of work for a bunch of agents. And but when the market shifts and there's less opportunity, less listings available. I mean, I know that the listings are kind of scarce right now, but there's always business out there to get. So a daily prospecting sheet, which I'll share in the group. I'm still in there. Travis hasn't kicked me out yet. I will upload a sheet that I created. I actually can show you really quick. Oh, I think I hid it behind here, but let me pull it up again. I'll find it.
So is this prospecting list from last year, basically like your plan from last year?
This is, no, this is a daily like check off sheet so that you can, I don't know where it is. I know it's behind here. I'll share that, but
We
I'll
can send it
upload-
out too with the replay as well.
Yeah, I will attach it. I'll share it at the end because I think it's behind my presentation on the screen on
Okay.
YouTube. So, but a daily prospecting sheet, which basically has like a check off for how many phone calls you've made. You can use it for whatever, how many emails, direct emails that you send, how many text messages you send. I don't like to necessarily make the phone calls. I'll text people all day long. I'll door knock. I'll do all sorts of other things, but picking up the phone and calling is, like I said, I don't have a problem
Kryptonite.
doing it. It's just not my preferred method. So where did I get the list? Okay. Which list, Tina?
The prospecting list.
Oh,
Or the daily prospecting list, I think she's
I
talking about.
created it. Okay. But it also talks about what your goals are for the day. Actually, I'll share it. And then you can see. Okay, so, but I'll provide that to you guys and you guys can use it how you want. Make it yours. Okay, provide value up front. So when you're talking to a buyer or seller, are you providing them any information, anything about you prior to you meeting them? You want to start giving them value so that they want to work with you. They'll feel obligated to work with you because you've given them something for free. So if you can provide, if you're doing market updates, if you do that, or, you know, the CMA, or even, you know, here's what you need to do to get your home ready to sell, even a buyer guide telling them kind of how the process works. A lot of buyers they just don't know, or things have changed. So it's really good to educate them on expectations and those kinds of things. So if you provide that to them up front, or maybe do a buyer consultation, then that way you're providing a value up front and they're going to feel more obligated to work with you. Number 3 is super important, and I'm still working on this one too, but creating systems. There's so many tools that we have access to. Are you using those tools to make your life easier? You know, everything can be automated pretty much these days. So are you taking advantage of those and maxing them out to, you know, their greatest potential? I'm trying to get my husband to kind of mesh all of the things that I pay for and make it, you know, like be my operations manager and make everything kind of work together, piggyback off each other to give automation to my business. So when that starts happening a little bit more, then all of these numbers that I've been sharing with you should go up as well. Okay, so one thing I want you to consider is every day, as you approach each day, and you're like, I would sit there and go, okay, I have nothing to do. My phone's not ringing. I don't have emails to respond to. I would sit there and take a pause and go, what's the number one thing I should be doing right now? What is a money-making activity I need to do? Is it following up with leads, following up with people that have maybe reached out? Maybe I got a lead from somewhere and I haven't contacted them yet, or haven't been able to reach them. You know, you have to start thinking of it. There's a term in the land, when you're selling land, what's the highest and best use of this land? And you have to think of your time as that resource. What's the highest and best use of my time right now? What's going to get me that next deal? Or, you know, what follow-up do I need to do? Do I need to, you know, shoot a video really quick? Do I need to send an email? You need to start thinking about how to focus your energy on what's going to get me, you know, to the next level with whatever prospects you have going on. Okay. And then what can I delegate to others? What are some things that you can take off your plate and not worry about? And this is leveraging your time again also. So I got a transaction coordinator probably beginning of last year. No, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And the first one I found wasn't a good fit for me. But then I had somebody just email me and she was looking for business. And I said, sure, send me, you know, I asked her for a couple things and immediately she turned around and she sent them to me. And I was just like, all right, you've got my attention, you know. So I talked to her on the phone basically interviewed her, told her how I like to do business, blah, blah, blah. And I hired her, and she's been amazing. I cannot do transactions without her now. She's flipping awesome. But that's leveraging me. Now I don't have to go and chase down paperwork and disclosures and look for updates. She does all of that for me. I just get to read the emails. So it's been, I love having a transaction coordinator now.
Would you call that a game changer? Because I think we had this conversation for many, many, many years about you getting a transaction coordinator.
Yeah.
And then you did. And then
but when I'm like, hovering, and now I know that I did it based on price, but I'll tell you that the units that I sold was probably average around 10 a year. Last year, I think I was 20. Here, I've got my stats right here. I'll tell you, last year I closed 27 deals. 2020, I closed 22.
So you're doing about 2.5 a month or so. It's probably between 2 and 3.
Yeah,
maybe. So
right.
Again, this is a very achievable number, I think, for just about anybody
absolutely.
in the business.
Especially if you have like a team behind you, like a transaction coordinator. I don't know how you guys feel about like social media scheduling. Like I kind of want a social media manager. I'm toying with the idea, but if you're using these people to leverage, I know virtual assistants are huge as well. And they can do the social media also. So it's just, how am I going to leverage, my time and make sure that I'm freeing up some of my time to create more opportunity for business. So, okay. So those are some thoughts I have. Okay. Here's some tools. These are all free. You guys should have a CRM. So whether you pay for it or not. But Trello is something that I use to help me organize. I'm trying to get better at going to it every day, but my CRM also has a checklist in there as well. So for each transaction, I don't have my transaction coordinator using my CRM, but it does have the ability to manage a transaction within it, and send out emails, based on where we're at, like, hey, the appraisal was ordered. Hey, we came in. Hey, whatever. So Trello, though, can help you increase your productivity by either giving you an easy, like the ways I use it is either it's a brainstorming board. So I'll give it a topic and then I'll start adding in ideas of what, like I have a whole list of like videos I want to shoot. So I just add in my thoughts because sometimes they come very sporadic. So I have it on my phone as well. I'll add it in really quick and go, oh yeah, I want to shoot a video about that. Haven't done any video yet, which I'm going to do more this year, but I'm waiting for my voice to get fixed. Okay. The CRM, whatever you have access to, which I know that some MLSs even give you access to CRMs, just use it. Let it work for you. Like I've got to do this too. And this is probably why my next hire is going to be a virtual assistant, and they're going to go through my contact list, like kind of do a blanket out to everybody, say, hey, are you thinking of buying or selling? And then stick them into a bucket. So that way the CRM can do the auto follow-up. I know you guys are familiar with the Google Suite. Those are they're free and they're pretty powerful tools, and you can kind of get them to work. Forms is probably one of my favorite ones out of all the Google products.
I like Forms.
Yeah, because it'll create a spreadsheet for you. You can use it for data entry if you just wanted to create some sort of spreadsheet.
Even open house registries and things like that you can use. So it's free and it looks good and it works well.
Yeah. And you can customize it. It used to be very archaic looking, very standard and boring. And now it's a lot, like you can do a little bit more with it. But I like the customization. So, and then Canva I love Canva. This is created in Canva. So, but Canva is there is, you can pay and you get a few more elements available to you, which to me, it's worth it. But it really just depends on where you are. But regardless of, like, you don't have to have the pro in order to create awesome stuff for your clients either. I mean, I do everything in Canva. All my social media is in Canva. Buyer seller guides, listing presentation, this presentation, letters. I mean, I've got everything over there. So I use it very extensively for all things, everything.
Speaking of social media, what kind of stuff do you post?
Let me see if I got, yes, it's Canva.
Images, videos. Is it just listing related? Like, what do you usually post? That you create in
No,
Canva?
here, I'll show you my Canva folder of things I've created.
And Steve want to know it's canva.com, right?
Yeah, right. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Between 2012, 2014, did you have a large SOI?
I think I was in the process of reestablishing my credibility. I did not ask for the business from my friends, and I would get mad if they didn't use me, but I never asked. I wasn't. And so that's one thing that I'm going to be changing right now is I am going to contact people on Facebook. I'm just going to message them and just say, hey, by the way, I don't know if you guys have HomeBot. It's pretty awesome, but all of my friends that I know own homes, I'm just going to sign them up on HomeBot and just say, hey, can I sign you up for this to get, an estimate of your value of your home I think it sends out every month. Just so that they keep me top of mind by, like if they start thinking about selling, then hopefully I'll be the first phone call they make. But I've had a lot of friends that didn't use me, and I've had to fight some of my friends to use me. I did win, but yeah, it was like, they're not obligated to use you. And that's why I say, if you provide value up front, or give them some reason to trust you, because people want to work with who they like and they trust, and you have some credibility with. So if you haven't established like that rapport with them, they're just going to find either somebody who they feel is going to fit what they want, or, they may pick you, but how are you going to win that business? So that's one thing that I'm going to be, I'm glad this is being recorded, because I'll be watching it going, yes.
Put it on a loop behind you afterwards.
What's that?
Put it on a loop behind you afterwards while you're working.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I said I was going to do. But like, here's my just listed flyer. And I just like copy and paste, I just duplicate it. Goodness, it's taking forever to load. But these are templates I got off Etsy. So if you guys don't want to make a template, and sometimes there's templates that are already created, you can find them in the design. But they do video now, which is huge. And there's a Canva group for real estate agents on Facebook that if you're a part of, people will post stuff. Like, here's a weekly update for my listings for to keep the sellers updated on what's going on. I got this off Etsy. Okay. So if you don't feel like you're creative enough, just go buy it off Etsy. And then you can see, like, here's an appraisal package I made. This is just the cover, but I use that. I mean, everything, business headers, everything. Here's my, I don't know where that is. Google My Business, which is huge for me. Anyway, so those are all things you can do in Canva. And like I said, there's either templates you can use, or you can go to Etsy. There's tons of real estate related templates that you can purchase and then just produce I've even bought some and they were for something totally different. And I've created, because I have an idea in my mind how I want to organize it, but sometimes I don't have a way to put it into like the transitioning into real life. So if I go to Canva and I see something similar and then I buy it and tweak it. So it gives me the kind of the basis of where I can go with it. Okay. Sorry, my questions are on my other.
That's okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
So we're there. So let's talk about Plateaus real quick. It sounds like you've had a couple. How did you break through them when you were, okay, I'm getting kind of busy, but you know, maybe my income is not quite where I want it to be able to hire somebody or to do something for me. Like, how do you break through some of those plateaus in your business to break through that and get to the next level where now you're making another 50 grand a year or another 100 grand a year because you're able to break through that one barrier?
Okay, this is exactly what I would do is here's the daily prospecting sheet that I'll share with you guys. So what are your goals for the day? Okay, how many conversations do you want to have? Okay, how many appointments? So what you're going to do is as you make these prospects, because honestly, if you don't have enough business, you've got to make contact with somebody and find out how you can help them. Even if that person that you reach out to isn't in a position to buy or sell, they may know somebody. So always ask that additional question. Hey, who do you know that is thinking of buying or selling right now? And usually somebody knows somebody. Okay, so here's how you would track it. There's, you know, call, no answer. If you highlight, if you get a lead, you get it, do a yellow and a green if you get an appointment. Just a little space for notes, but here's your results. So what happened? How many hours did you spend? How many attempts did you make? Because you could make 100 phone calls and then turn around and only have 3 conversations. So, or, you know, whatever this point of contact is, text, email, whatever. Text is pretty responsive though.
Yeah.
Did you
About
get
how many hours do you do a week, you would think?
I would say it depends on how your business is. If you're really needing the business, I would probably do at least 6 hours of prospecting a day, just to start filling your pipeline, because that's really what you're trying to do is get them into that pipeline so that you can, you know, your funnel is keeping full.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably everything that Travis has been telling you guys too. So here's your results. How many buyer appointments did you get? How many listing appointments did you get? Did you secure any listings? And then the past clients or sphere of influence that you reached out to, like this would be, maybe I Facebook messaged somebody and said, hey, can I sign you up for, you know, the home bot and give you a valuation on your home every month. Here's a list for the new contacts, and then here's your lead follow-up. So you should have five new people in your funnel, like good contacts a day to keep your funnel going good. But I'll share this with Travis. Like I said, if you don't like it, I might share the template. You could tweak it yourself, but I'll tell you right now, this little 0 at the end it doesn't line up right. So I had to put it in there, but so I'll just let you know that up front. But this is something that can help you just kind of get an idea of what you should be doing every day as far as prospecting. But I would do a minimum of 3, and well, it just really depends, because if you're booked up with appointments, then you're just going to have to squeeze it in when you can. There's some days I just don't have time to prospect, to be honest, because I'm just booked up with appointments or dealing with problems on transactions or whatever.
So it sounds like you're at one of the plateaus right now, and that's where you're considering the virtual assistant maybe to take on some of this for you.
I'm not at a plateau, but I am trying to kind of level up. So this would be a way that I can get to that next level, because if you're not doing it, so you either have sweat equity or check equity. Either you're going to do the work or you're going to pay somebody to do the work. And that's, for the longest time, I was a sweat equity kind of agent. And I just said, you know what, I don't want to delegate. I don't want to, I have to do it. I have to be the one. And so I wouldn't delegate anything. This is what Travis saw. I wouldn't delegate. Hang on.
I think that held you back a little bit from hitting some of your goals for the year, because you were just so consumed with doing everything yourself that you weren't doing the money-making activities.
Right. I'm sure it factored in, absolutely, because if I'm not freeing up that time that somebody else could be doing something for me, and I'm feeling like I have to do it all, which you don't, you can create a team, you can create, just a transaction coordinator, virtual assistant. I would start with a transaction coordinator first, but only if it makes sense. I know that to me, I didn't do a transaction coordinator before because I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me to do it. I don't have enough work coming in, which means I wasn't prospecting. So but once a transaction coordinator makes sense, then definitely pull the trigger. Like if you're starting to do too many transactions and they're starting to, like, you don't want them to start slipping and not staying on top of them, because that's how, if you're not managing the transaction then, or somebody for you, then you're going to have more problems down the road.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with that a lot, because if you're trying to prospect and you're working with multiple buyers and listings, and even if you don't have that check coming in quite yet, you're like, moving up the ladder, you'll start missing stuff on the one transaction you have going, for sure. So, and that's, it's really important to stay on top of that stuff. So I agree. I think transaction coordinator is the easiest one to put in place when you're ready.
right.
For a nominal fee, they just free up so much time transactionally, and you have another eye on all your files coming in and documents and stuff like that. And it frees up so many hours a week for more prospecting.
Right. Right. And making sure that you're in compliance too, because sometimes we might overlook or forget that we need to do X, Y, or Z. And so I like that there's an extra, level of double checking everything and making sure that everything, my files in compliance as well, because, eventually we're going to get audited at some point. So you want to make sure that those are all squared away.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any other? Exactly. So Tina, postcards and mailers. So I need to be doing them. I'll tell you guys a little secret that I'm going to do, but I'm going to create a postcard with a QR code on it, which goes to a landing page, which has an intro video about me, blah, blah, blah. And something about, hey, I was reaching out because, I just sold a property around you or something like that. And then try and get them to sign up on, HomeBot, hey, do you want to get a home valuation sent to you every month? Sign up below or whatever. So that's all in the works. So I haven't done it yet because I can't shoot video when my voice is garbage. So that's probably the next big thing. So as soon as I get that together, then yes, I will be sending out more postcards,
like circle prospecting and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think that I've really gotten any business off of them. But I also do the tiniest ones, and I've heard that you're supposed to do the big ones. So like, this is my usual size. It's tiny. So
yeah, I've heard the same. If you're going to send out mailers, send out the big ones, high gloss, make it look good.
Right.
So, and you don't necessarily have to be the one that sold the home in the neighborhood.
Right.
You can just
it
talk
can
about
be in your
sales
area.
in the neighborhood.
Right.
Yep. So
if you have a farm and there's been some solds in there, just send out the postcard. Nobody can say no. Like it's public.
As long as you're not taking credit. Yep.
Yep. And just say, hey, here's what's happening in your neighborhood. Because sometimes the owners know and sometimes they don't. So, but you're going to put yourself in as, hey, I know what's going on in the neighborhood. Then if you add like door knocking, pop buys, those kinds of things to that same neighborhood, it's just going to keep adding in your value and your investment with, that they're going to say, oh, yeah, you're going to be top of mind if they ever had a question about their property value. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. eProperty Watches. Yeah, I have used that one as well. In the past, I think I like HomeBot better. And it actually there's a lender.
Andrew's got a program too for people that's kind of like HomeBot if anybody's interested.
Yeah. I just like it because the valuations are a little bit better than their algorithm is better than Zillow. So they get a different number. I don't know. I've just seen that especially if you've had, or, you're in an area where there's a lot of activity. As soon as something sells, I usually send out an email because I sign myself up. So I still get them. But like when one of the properties around me sells, then I get an email and I'm like, okay. So
yeah, I think it's always good to sign up for your own stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can see, double check as it's coming. Because sometimes when we're creating stuff in CRMs or other things, there's typos, there's things here and there that you just don't get. So I send myself my stuff as well because I like to double check it as it comes through. And also if it's a program, I want to see what it's sending out, to see how accurate it is or if it's too frequent or not frequent enough.
Right. Let me HomeBot. Yeah. HomeBot AI.
Yeah.
I don't think I said .com, but it's not .com.
I think it's .ai. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. There's a lot of AI. And for those of you, I'm going to give you a little hint here. Here's a little nugget, I should say. I hate paying monthly fees for things. So I love to find things that are lifetime plans. And if you go to Appsumo.com, they have a lot of different tools. Maybe it's like a video creator, like they've had, I've bought a few things off of them. They have something similar to like TubeBuddy. I don't know if you guys are aware of that tool, but they have something similar to that. They have like video platforms that, where you can go and create videos. But Canva has come a huge, they used to only be like graphics, and now they're getting into video a lot. Appsumo is APPSUMO. Appsumo, and they offer, you can do a search for lifetime deals, and then that way you can go and just find a lifetime deal on one of these platforms and use it. They have SEO tools, like there's productivity stuff. They have a lot of cool little things. So, and then they do a video for each one that kind of demos it, talks about the pros and cons. Some of those programs too overlap in what they offer. So just make sure that whatever you're signing up for is something that, sounds great and you should be good. But that's one of my I've been buying a lot of stuff off them lately just because I hate paying the monthly fees, but that way I have a platform that does whatever. I can't even remember all the ones I bought. I bought a lot. Yeah. It's here. I'll type it in the Appsumo. Okay.
What would you say is your top 2 or 3 tools that you use like daily, I guess? That provide you a good return on your money.
So my CRM, I'm trying to use a whole heck of a lot more because I'm paying for it. So my CRM, because it kind of gives me an idea of who should be on my radar, who should I be keeping in contact with. And then, I mean, I've already talked about Canva, but
Yeah, Canva, and then maybe HomeBot next after that.
yeah, HomeBot.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are probably the ones that I'm going to be using a lot. And then, but I know I didn't really talk about this much, but you should be creating video for sure.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
it
we talk
doesn't
about
have
that
to
a
be,
lot.
yeah, it doesn't have to be anything like really extravagant, but I'm a perfectionist, which Travis probably knows, but so I tend to like go, oh, if I can't make it perfect, like right now, my voice is garbage, right? So I say, well, I can't because I'm sick. So I make up, like, I mean, I could still make another video. Doesn't have to have my voice in it. I could have another one that just talks about some sort of real estate thing.
Mhm.
So, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be you, even though you're the one that you're trying to, you know, give your credibility. You're trying to help people understand that they can trust you. They want to work with you. You know, you're trying to find those people. And by giving them video, it helps them understand who you are and a little bit about you, how you interact, maybe how you work, and maybe they like that kind of, you know, they want to see that. Because once you get into contract, it's like really hard to cancel somebody. So, you know, or cancel a transaction.
Obviously, I follow you on social media. I've noticed that some of when you do post the videos, I mean, the comments definitely are more heavy than when you're just kind of posting, hey, new listing or something like that. Like you definitely have some conversation going on in the video, and it doesn't actually seem to always be real estate related, which I think is also great. And it seems like those are the ones where you get a lot of interaction as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a question. You've paid for coaching before, right?
Yes.
And what was your takeaway, I guess, from coaching? Did you find it valuable? You know, I see in groups a lot, you know, I have $1,000 to spend a month. What should I spend it on? And a large majority of the comments are coaching versus, you know, paying for leads or something like that. So what's your take on that?
Well, so I do pay for coaching, and it is a lot.
Yeah.
And I know that Travis and I have had conversations about this. So it just really depends on what your goals are. If you like, at one point, Travis and I used to have a weekly meeting and we would just go over my business and that was when I started thinking about doing coaching. And I was like, you know, maybe I should just have Travis do it because, you know, he's got a vested interest in my success. So we started doing that for a little while. He's way too busy now. I'm almost positive, but this was before
we do it in group fashion now.
Yeah. And that's great. But I think it's the accountability. So, and I think like it's easy. I have a coach and he, you know, he lets me off way too easy. Like I need him to be holding my feet to the fire a little bit more and saying, you know, you need to stop with these excuses and get your business where you need to go. And I mean, I am I'm constantly making improvements and changes, but I'm sure he wants to see him a little bit faster, but it's just like this year, so I've already had the best January I've ever had. I'm like the last few years, my January was either one or none. And I think I've already closed 3 this month. And that's probably all I'm going to be closing. Yeah. So, but I've never had a January like that where and they probably should have closed in December, but that's okay. They got done. So I think that having coaching or just somebody who's going to hold you accountable to your goals, I think goal setting is super important. But it's more the self-discipline as well, because we can make excuses all day long. We can say, well, I can't shoot a video because I'm sick, or, you know, we can't do this because of X, Y, or Z. And we can make up excuses all day long. But do you think the top producers are making excuses? I can guarantee you they're not. They're powering through regardless of what those hurdles or obstacles are. They don't care if, they'll do the work if you're not willing to. That's all I'm
Yeah.
going to say.
And they're out there hustling on the phones for sure.
Yep.
I think I said this a couple weeks ago, if you're not making calls to your sphere of influence, I guarantee you the top producers in your market are.
Yep.
So, and that's why they have the market share that they do.
Yeah. And that's why I think if you, just contact those people and start, hey, I'm going to start doing this, a market report, market update every week. Can I get you, are you interested? Can I send you that email and see, just get in front of your people. They should want to work with you, but you've got to show them why.
Yeah. Yeah. And we did a webinar at the beginning of the year about data and free things for, getting market data that are super easy to just, every Monday, here's the data report for a certain neighborhood or zip code or area or whatever. And I mean, even just doing that once a week is really just going to kind of get things going. You can put it in a video format. I mean, I just feel like there's so many things, but
Right.
yeah. So coaching was a yes for you? Well invested, you think?
I think initially it was super scary. Like I can tell you that the market has helped with that. But like I know that you and I had a conversation at one point. I was just like, oh, I don't know if I want to renew this because it's so much money. And you were like, yeah, I don't think you should. And then I ended up doing it anyway.
Yeah.
But but it's still, it's just me. I think what's more important for me is not the accountability and it's not just the accountability, but it's having someone to give it, like advise me also on, different ideas, maybe things I didn't think about, and also come up with strategies that they're using themselves that are finding success with. And then within my coaching community, we all help each other. So it's created like this very productive what's that?
Synergy?
Yeah.
Synergy. Yeah.
Right. Like we all want to help each other in our successes in whatever market we're in, because we're all in different markets, which is helpful. Because you don't want to help I know some of you guys are up here in the high desert, and that's fine. Like Tina, hi Tina. But you know what? There's enough business to go around. It's not going to hurt.
It really is. There's enough people, enough agents out there that are not doing what needs to be done to get that business. So
right.
I am in a coaching program myself. So because for the same reason, I like to have somebody to advise and bounce ideas off of. I do like the accountability factor, but for me, mostly it's getting strategies and ideas for pressing through, some of these plateaus and things that I hit in the business. So I found it to be painful on the pocketbook, but worth it on the return on investment. So,
yeah, I mean, if you look at that, my chart, I can tell you right now.
That is literally when you started taking coaching. I
can
tell.
This is
when you started taking off.
Right. And let me tell you, I didn't share this part with you guys. My husband lost his job the beginning of 2018. And 19, one of those years. Anyway, it was before COVID and all that. And I had just signed up for coaching like the month before. And you want to talk about stress and trying to make it. And you know what, though? So my husband, we live in Hesperia. My husband commuted to Long Beach for 8 years. And I said, you know what? You've done your part in providing for the family. Let me take the reins now. And so he's doing his own thing, and he's got his own goals now, and he's doing things that he wants to do. But the responsibility of the income has fallen on me now. So that's a whole, I don't know, that was
the motivator.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I have to make it happen. So
Yeah, I mean, I tell people sometimes, if you were guaranteed to be struck by lightning in 30 days, if you didn't get a home in escrow, what would you be doing right now? And why aren't you doing that right now? So,
right.
like, and for you, that is that motivator, like I have to provide this money for the family, I'm the same way over here. So, I make sure that I get my list done every day. So let's just get into wrap mode here. So for newer agents or agents looking to go from kind of a part-time income to where you're at now, what would you say are the top 3 must-dos for them?
So I would definitely say the planning. Make sure
On paper, right?
Yeah, put it on paper or do it digitally, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Like for me, writing it out, and then I could put it on my calendar. But I don't know, something about writing, like I literally have like planners all over the place. I mean, this is 1 year's. I still have them laying around, but
Yeah.
Find a system. This is when I had a morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
It changes, but yeah, so I really like the planners because I don't know, there's something about knowing or just writing. I have papers everywhere, but so I'm trying to get better about that too. But the planner,
Do what works, right?
What's
Just
that?
not keep it in your head, but do what works. Planner,
Right.
digitally, whatever it is. Yeah.
Oh, and then one thing that might be important as well is to keep a to-do list. Sometimes and now I do this one on my phone. There's I think it's called To Do, and I think it's a Google product.
I think it is too.
I
do the to-do list every night before I go to bed. It actually helps me sleep because then I don't keep myself up all night, like trying to think, oh my God, I'm going to forget to do this. Like I already emailed it to myself for the next day. So.
Right, exactly. So keep that to-do list, but also, check it. Make sure you're doing the to-do list as well, because it's writing it down, gets it out of your head, and stressing over it. I sleep a lot better when all of those things are going on as well. And so that app is really helpful, or you can do it in your planner as well. Like, here's the things I need to do today, kind of thing. And then anything that doesn't get done, you push it to the next day so that it does get done. Make it a priority. If it, like prioritize, especially if you're, you're short on time or something comes up, you get the phone, come list me now call, and you got to jump and go. So make sure that those items get completed. Hold yourself accountable, and, or find some, maybe another agent. If you can't afford coaching, find somebody who's going to hold you accountable to your goals, to your, I was going to look, and there's probably a free one of these out there, or maybe there's one with the Coaching 52 coaching system. I haven't looked into that, but just like the yearly goals, you need to have your yearly goals set up and then break it down by month, then by week, then by day. So that way, okay, if I want to sell 50 homes this year, I need to have X amount of contacts, because there's some formula of how many contacts you need to get or, make in order that equals one listing or one transaction. So I would check and see if they have one. If not, get a plan together. I still need to do mine. Like, I'm probably going to jump off this and jump on all of these things that I haven't done yet, because I had those 2 transactions that drove me crazy. Anyway, so
Coach 52 does have the accountability tracker, guys. So if you don't have an account, let me know. So it's a weekly tracker for your yearly goal.
There you go. So, but use it. It's like, if Travis is giving you all these tools and things that you can, use as leverage for yourself and your business, and use them. apply those things. It's one thing to hear them, but it's to make, like, what I like to do is if I'm listening to a podcast or something, I start writing down, what are my action items from this? What can I take away and apply into my business? How can I change my business based on what they're saying? Like, and sometimes you're hearing these podcasts and things or ideas from coaching, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is like a game changer. Or maybe you have a different idea of how to implement something because of what they're saying or sharing with you. So plan, be consistent. Whatever your plan is, just be consistent in keeping it and hold yourself accountable, or find somebody who will. Maybe it's a spouse, a supportive spouse, or another agent that's interested in your success, but somebody who can keep you, hold your feet to the fire and just say, you know what, stop making excuses. You're full of crap. Get out there and get it done. We all need that, really. But and then there was one other thing that I was thinking of. So I don't know. I'll think of it.
Planning,
Yeah.
consistency. What would you say is a third? Prospecting, making time. I tell everybody you got to put in your 8 hours every day, even though we're really putting in like 12 or 14.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have something going on, there's so much prospecting that can be done, and things that can be done for little or no cost, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
The equity stuff.
Social media is
sweat
free.
equity. Yeah, social media is free.
Social media
Sweat
is free.
equity.
Do the sweat equity things, until you get to that plateau or that next, level. Like right now, I literally need to sit down. I probably will after this, because I'm also heading to a conference and I don't want this not done before I go there. But I'm going to be making my plans because I'm way behind, but I am going to make my plans. And if you want, I'll post them just so I hold myself accountable to you guys.
It's a good way.
But yeah, I mean, here's my goals for the year. And, and if you guys use the, Rise Realty group as a way to hold each other accountable and, cheer on each other for your successes, you have a community there. And you guys should be leveraging that. Help each other with sharing what's been successful to you in your business. Hey, this is what I did. Like, for instance, when Google My Business showed up, Travis and I talked about it like a lot. And I would tell Travis, I'm like, Travis, you're not going to believe this, but I'm getting a crap ton of calls off Google My Business, which if you're not answering your phone, then that is a huge problem as well. I can't even tell you. I know that trust me, I get all the spammy bot calls as well, but I can't even tell you how many times I've answered the phone and it's been somebody who was like, oh, finally an agent who answers their phone. I hear that a ton. So answer your phone.
Yeah.
You never know who's on that other end, even if
I got in the business in 2003, and my mentor that I had joined a team to start up with, he got me in the business, was a friend, and every week he would tell me the same thing, and that is answer the phone. And he usually threw a curse word in the middle there, but that was his thing. Like, dude, answer the phone. And he did. I mean, he is spectacular with taking calls, answering phones, responding to calls. I mean, it's a pet peeve of his. But I don't know how many times I hear it though. Like, even when I pick up the phone, like, oh my God, I'm so glad you took my call. It's like, really? Okay, but I guess there's a lot of agents that still don't answer the phone. I know a lot of us has moved to text message and stuff like that, but sometimes a phone call's needed.
Yeah.
So to answer Steve's question real quick, Jody was with Rise Realty for a number of years. She was one of our first agents actually that followed me over from another brokerage.
I technically am still with us,
but she's kind of with us. So she got a broker's license a couple of years ago. She's one of the very few that have left the company, but she's one of the ones that has decided that she wanted to go on her own and solo. So we still have lots of conversations, and I still consider her part of the group, and I think she does the same. So.
Well, I am an associate broker with Rise Realty still.
This is true. I mean, she still does hang under us. So.
But one thing I thought about too is, So think about this. When you get a lead come in, do you have a plan of what happens? Like that's huge. Because if you think about when you reach out to a business and how often they contact you, do they contact you once or do they contact you a bunch? So think about, because you have to think about the customer service that you're providing as well. People want to know that they matter to you. Their business matters, that their needs matter, whatever reason why they're reaching out to you. So what is your plan? Once you get a lead, what happens to it? Does it just like go on your desk and sit there until you decide that you're going to call it again or reach out to them again? Or does it, do you put them in your CRM and create the system around whatever their need is? So just think about that too. Because I'm sure all of you are getting prospects, but it's what you do with it.
Yeah, that would be the correct answer for me, is please put it in the CRM so you don't lose the lead, because we're all guilty of it. We're working with the hottest prospect at the moment, and we let all these, my desk is sticky notes everywhere. So, or I have sheets of paper with just scribbles everywhere. Like, we're all guilty of it, working with the hottest prospect at the time. And then, maybe that lead isn't ready that week or that month, and they're a bona fide lead. They're going to buy or sell a home from somebody, right? And just because they weren't interested in seeing a home today, they get forgotten about. And so that's where the CRM really helps you with higher conversions, in my opinion, and keeping that pipeline full of active people.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I guess my last question for you is, what's your prediction for real estate this year?
I've been hearing
fire all year.
What's that?
Is it going to be on fire all year again?
Pretty much. So I've been hearing that the market's going to continue to increase, and interest rates are obviously going to increase there. So that means that the buyer purchasing power is going to diminish a little, which I know that people are saying, oh, the market's going to correct anytime. And I keep telling them no. I tried to get a buyer to purchase a house last year, and he was pre-qualified, everything, but he was getting bad advice from other adults. He was just freshly employed with the police department. He was making great money, but now he's wasting it. He's throwing it away on rent every month. And so I tried to educate him and tell him this is going to be the best way that you're going to provide for your family, is to buy a house. Even if it's high, it's going to continue to go up, because he's only planning on being here for 2 years and then he's going to relocate. So I tried to help him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but yeah, the
inventory levels are so bad.
What's that?
These inventories I've never seen the inventory as bad as it is right now, at least in my area. So,
yeah, ours, I have listings that are sitting, well, they were sitting in December or in the fall. They sat for probably 3 weeks before we got offers. So it was slowing a little bit. It probably isn't like that now. But I do have one listing, but my seller is a headache. So
yeah, we get them.
But yeah, it should increase. And so that's going to help you guys with, your GCI, your gross commission income, because as the prices increase, which, when you look at my graph on how I did from 14 on to like 18, the prices were not as high as they are now. I actually bought in 15. So, and I probably have at least 200 in equity now. So it's just, the market's just going to keep going.
I did a loan on a purchase in March of last year on a condo, and they were already 100,000 plus in equity. Hasn't even been a year. So, these are conversations I think that are good to have with, the sphere of influence, people that are on the fence, things like that. These inventory levels, I know that there's a lot of fear in the market, but these inventory levels are just so bad, and that's really just driving these prices, in my opinion. to stay high and to continue higher. I mean, the demand is there for sure, at least for the foreseeable future, in my opinion.
Right. And I think it's important to educate your clients on the market, because a lot of them lived through what happened in 2008,
Yeah, so they have the same
2009.
fears. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what happened with this buyer that I was trying to help. They kept going, oh no, the market's going to crash. And I was like, even if it crashes, which it won't, but it will correct, because nothing stays, like this forever. But it's not going to go ever to those levels again. So it's just going to have a different, if you guys do stocks, you have the ceiling and the floor. It's just going to have a new floor. It's not going to bottom out and give like it did back then. But that was because of a lot of lending practices and a few other things that were going on, which have all been corrected. So that's what I try and help others understand is like, the things that caused that crash have all been taken care of now, and it's not going to happen again. So
I feel the same way, when COVID hit in 2020, and, stock market was tanking, everything was just, going nuts. To watch the stimulus and the banks step in so fast with aid and forbearance programs and everything else led me to believe that I don't know that we'll ever see that type of crash again, because they were so quick to step in. Like I felt like they learned their lesson from the last one, when they were just foreclosing on everybody because that was their process. But they created their own monster, in my opinion, because every time they would list more and more homes, more and more foreclosures in the market, they were just driving prices down with their activity. And so it's a slippery slope once they start going down. And I think that they recognize that from last time. And I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what I saw, and it's only gone even crazier since then, which is, I guess, opposite of what we all expected. But they did step in quick with all the aid and everything.
Right.
Stimulus. So
Yeah. And just on that note too, a lot of people ask me, oh, well, I want to buy a foreclosure or property in distress. And I'm like, there just really aren't any, because the equity has improved since whenever the default happened, that now a seller can sell and just get out of the property and walk away with some equity, most likely. So
I usually tell them that I would love to sell them one if there were any.
Exactly.
So, not in my area. So, all right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on just to kind of speak candidly with us. I don't know if anybody has any last minute questions. We've had a few kind of going in the chat that I've been responding to, and that Jody's addressed, but yeah, it's been really,
just
really
add me on
fun.
Facebook or wherever. I'm on every social media platform imaginable. So, add me as a friend. If you have any additional follow-up questions, just message me. Like I said, I'll share that daily prospecting list. I hope you guys have, gotten something out of this. Like I said, in the beginning, it's really not rocket science. It's, are you doing the work? If you do the work, you're going to get the returns. So
that's definitely my takeaway from this is, Jody's not doing anything crazy out there. She's doing the work. She's putting in the hours. She's following up. She answers the phone, and she does money making activities. And I think that's the core of success, in this business.
Yep.
So
anybody can do it.
I really appreciate you coming on. That was
Thanks,
fun.
Travis, for having me.
Okay. Have a good week, everyone.
All right. Bye, everyone.
See you later.